Good morning, Kate and Fiona Pearman, and we're going to share a bit about confidence and congruence today. And Kate, when we've been thinking about this, what we've been really grappling with definitions, because we know congruence is really important. And as we've started to unpack it, we really think there's an alignment here between our inner world and our outer world. And to unpack that a little bit further, where our feelings and thoughts, what's going on internally, are really aligned and consistent to the actions and decisions that we're taking.
Yeah, I think it's worth thinking about the word alignment, or the one we use is congruence, and how it shows up in our daily lives, in our professional world, our personal world, and how it plays out in the actions we take and the decisions we make. I think often many of us, if we're procrastinating or we're feeling frustrated or stuck, sometimes we're unclear about what's going on. And in my experience, often all of those behaviors are symptoms of conflict, because part of me wants something and part of me wants something else, or part of me thinks something and part of me thinks something else. And so recognizing when we are in conflict, or when we're out of congruence or incongruent, is a really valuable piece, because once we can recognize it, we have some awareness around what's going on. I think we're able to then dig in a little bit deeper, because in my experience, even if we're not consciously aware of this, right, often we can just feel uncertain or we can't make a decision. And to get below the surface here and to start to look at and see what's going on allows us to start to unpack it a little bit and explore it a little bit and find out where some of that conflict is sitting. Because it's very hard to take action from a place of confidence when we are uncertain. And so it can often leave us spinning a little bit because we're unclear.
I think there's a piece here around noticing what's going on and starting to really observe ourselves and see the places where we feel really in our power, relaxed, confident, able to interact freely and completely. And those places where we're kind of contracting, potentially shutting down, or maybe we're overreacting. We notice that something's heightened or escalated in us. And as we observe those behaviors, we can see how there's something puzzling to us. There's something conflicting. There's something difficult here. And rather than being harsh and judging ourselves, and I know, this is myself, something goes wrong, I maybe overreact, and then I'm beating myself up about what I've just done. And actually, if we were just willing to suspend judgment for a moment and be a little bit kind and compassionate and go, oh, it looks as though something's out of whack here. Something's out of alignment. It's not congruent within me. What's going on? What might I be able to explore here and understand in order to think about how I can bring these pieces together, rather than shutting something off, or, dismissing it, or trying to make myself other than something that's part of me.
And I think, look, we've all been in places, we all know people have been in places where we've allowed that sort of incongruence or inner conflict to go on for a long time. I think why it matters, and that's really important to talk about, is because it stops us taking action, right? And, we've all been in that place where, a great example is when people are in organizations where they feel like they've done their time. They want, part of them wants to leave, but the other part of me wants the certainty and security and things just to stay the same. They don't want to have to put the energy into finding a role and getting set up. And so we've all known people or been those people who have stayed in that state for, months, if not years. And it stops us taking action. I think the other thing that's important is, if we do take action when we're incongruent, when we're feeling conflicted, that will inevitably play out in our behavior. At least unconsciously, right? And so even if we're not consciously aware of it, and even if our stakeholders aren't consciously aware of it, at some level, people will see the uncertainty in your language, in your mannerisms, in your behavior. They will feel the hesitation. And it will manifest potentially in, oh, I'm not sure, or are they across their staff, or is this the right thing to do? It'll manifest in probably, a little bit of either confusion at a stakeholder level, or perhaps, observations that maybe you're not as confident as, in the decisions and the language that you're using as perhaps that stakeholder would like. So I think it's really important when we think about building trust, building relationships, and taking, confident and aligned action in service of our goals and outcomes.
Yeah, I really like this piece about touching on what happens externally when my internal is out of alignment, because sometimes we can see that stakeholders are not responding the way we want, or we can see that things are going sideways, or we know that it's not working out as well as we hoped. And we often think that's an external issue, that's something that's playing out here. The opportunity here is to start to question ourselves and to really dig in and go, well, what's going on for me? Why is it that I'm having this reaction? Or why is it that person's having the reaction to what I'm doing? And to really examine what might be sitting beneath this and the points of internal conflict that are going on with me, because we will be unclear, we will be uncertain, we'll feel a sense of risk. And often that risk can feel like fear or a bit of a threat. If I were to really speak up here, if I were to tell people what I'm really thinking, that might mean something bad for me. So we hold back, but in the holding back, we're not being congruent. And so there's lots of places, I think, where this lack of clarity, the being unsure, is colouring both our own experience, but also the experience of people around us. And we often talk about clarity creates confidence. I think this piece around congruence is an essential ingredient to getting to the clarity.
Yeah, I think we talk about really alignment and congruence a lot in the book. Being able to be authentic, right? If we're not being ourselves in the workplace, we're being incongruent with who we are, how we feel, what we think, our choices, all of those sorts of things. So a lot of our work really anchors around this. And I think more broadly at a higher level, a big part of our mission is, to help people, align their thinking, their feeling, their choices, and then their action, so that they really are showing up in the world in their true magnificent self, being who they are, and then taking those actions in alignment with that in service of them and their career goals and life goals as well. So lots to dig into this month when we think about this really valuable word, congruence, maybe one that we don't think about on a daily or even weekly basis, but I think one that we know is really quite powerful when it comes to personal transformation. We'll continue to talk about that over the course of the next couple of weeks. So make sure you stay tuned. Go and head over to our Facebook page, hit like, that'll notify you when we go live on our page every Wednesday. If you would like to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, head over to our website, coreconfidence.com.au. Lots of great resources for you to tune into there as well.